Hello Toon family, welcome to another video, and I'm sure you guys are quite happy with that 4-1 win, yes, against lower opposition, but a lot of players looked really good. And as an Arsenal fan, I'm slightly worried going into the weekend because my team, we did look great up against Port Vale. We looked really slow, looked like we couldn't really create anything up against a poorer opposition, and Newcastle just blitzed their poorer opposition with goals, looking pretty defensively solid, only conceded an absolute stunner from a boyhood Newcastle United fan, Cook, so fair play to him. But yeah, we're here to talk Newcastle United, we're here to talk the game, and actually where I want to start is talking about Lewis Miley, because there's been a lot, and I mean a lot of criticism towards him, and you think this is like a 30-year-old pro who has had so many sort of opportunities in his whole career. I'm seeing a lot of Newcastle fans attacking him, and it's really surprising because I don't think he played that bad. The way I've seen the reaction on social media, many Newcastle United fans are insinuating that he had a very poor game, but I think he looked pretty sharp. There was a lovely couple of bits of play from him, whether it was a little carry through the midfield or a little pass to the central and wide areas. He looked strong, but Newcastle fans don't seem to agree, and I just want you guys to know. Let me know down in the comments down below. What's your thoughts on him? Do you feel like he's really disappointing and he's not Newcastle United standard? Or do you think he's young, but if you're playing for Newcastle United, you should still be held up to very high standards? What's your opinions? Because I just think this is a young player with so many qualities that's only going to get better as he ages, and all these experiences that he's having on the pitch. Even if he is giving the ball away at some times, like in the first half, there was one where he gave away, led to a shot which Ramsdale had to sort of push around the post. Look, he's young, he'll keep growing, but there's so many positives that you can see in his game, and he's still so young. He's not like he's 30 or 27, 28. He's only 19, and you can imagine how good he'll look in 2-3 years' time. Do Newcastle United have 2-3 years? Maybe that's the question that I've got to ask, to wait for a player like him. But I genuinely think he's got very good potential, and Newcastle United fans just need to stick with him. In terms of the other good performers, I think the midfield looked really good in there, with Miley, who I said actually had a pretty game in my opinion. Bruno Guimarães probably was the standout performer. You know how good he is. He doesn't really need any introduction or any sort of praise, because we know what his quality is all about. Picking up the ball, playing it to the next player, playing through. Look, Bruno Guimarães just gives you coolness, calmness and progression. I think that sort of qualities that he has was missed up against Bournemouth at the weekend, and I can't help but think to myself, if Bruno Guimarães was starting, could Newcastle United have beaten Bournemouth? But I understand rotation. Eddie Howe's worried the amount of minutes that these players have had to play, but I genuinely believe that Bruno Guimarães has to start no matter what. If he's fit, he starts. He's just that integral to Newcastle United, putting the ball forward, getting to really attacking areas, testing the opposition's defence. Bruno Guimarães is just the perfect sort of leader for this Newcastle United team. And on that topic, there was actually a report that came out that Manchester City were really interested in signing Bruno Guimarães. In June, they made an approach to him, went towards his agents, and he said, no, I want to stay at Newcastle United this season. That goes to show the sort of guy he is, the player he is. And I'm sure you Newcastle fans will remember when he posted, I think it was around this Isak saga, where it came out that Isak thinks he was sort of messed up by the club. Bruno Guimarães just put a photo on his story in black and white, I think it was, of him with the Newcastle United kit pointing to the badge, and he had the captaincy on. And that's what it's all about. This is a guy who's got blood, sweat and tears for Newcastle United. And in terms of leading the team forward to defend this cup, he looks really sharp. He genuinely did. Joelinton gets himself 2 goals. The first one I really liked, the way he drilled that into the corner. Really nice finish. And he's a player that, for me, I'm always thinking, Joelinton, can Newcastle United improve him? But he reminds me of Xhaka for Arsenal. When he used to not play, something just wouldn't be right. And I'm getting that feeling with Joelinton as well. When he's not playing, something just isn't right for Newcastle United. And I know it's a low opposition in Bradford, but he looked really good. I know he lost the ball a couple of times, but the way he goes into the attacking areas is really good. Box crashing. I'm just thinking towards the Arsenal game and how we played. A player like Joelinton is just going to absolutely destroy us by ghosting into the box, getting into those advanced areas. And I fear for us. I genuinely fear for us defending up against that midfield 3. I'm looking at Rice, Zubimendi and Marino, I assume it's going to be. And the way he can't turn under pressure, Marino, is quite scary. So big questions to be asked of Arsenal at the weekend. I think Newcastle United have got the players to ask those questions, which is not what I really want to be saying. And I think I have to also give a massive shout out to William Osula. I think he was so sharp, so good. I think he's just got so much potential. And I said this before, that he's the player I'm watching out for this season. I think he can have a really, really huge burst onto the scene. And I know he was meant to leave. There was the offers from Frankfurt to go out on loan, go permanently. It didn't happen. Maybe that's going to spring his career forward because he looks really good. And I know many Newcastle United fans call him League One standard, not good enough for Newcastle United. But again, this is another player who isn't old. If I'm not wrong, he's 21 or maybe 23. Look, you're looking at all the great strikers. Dembele, I'm not saying he's Dembele standard. At 23, 24, 25, he wasn't hitting the heights. Then randomly at 28, he bursts. In terms of physical tools, look at Osula. Look at the way he's built. And I'm not saying this in any weird way. He just looks like a centre forward. Like, he has the physical things of a centre forward. And I know he hasn't put it all together yet. And he may look a bit clunky and a bit unassured in his actions. But the physique is there to work with. Like, if you were to give us any manager, William Osula, tall, good in the box to some degree, you know, willing to run the channels, really quick and behind. Those things are good for you to look at. Look at his strides as he scored that first goal. Very good. Even the second goal, fox in the box instincts. That's what you want to be seeing. And I've seen a lot of Newcastle United fans say, William Osula, much better on the wing. He looks more Premier League standard off the wing. And I understand that. And I feel like some players, you've seen it. Isak, Darwin Núñez, I know, you know, probably aren't a big fan of him, but most centre forwards to progress into being a centre forward need minutes off the wing first. It helps you be secure in possession. You get more touches of the ball. It just gives you that technical security. So when you are moved into centre forward, you have all of these traits you've learned from being out wide. So when the ball's fizzed into you, you're stronger, you're more technical to hold it up because you've had that experience of having more of the ball on the right or on the left. So that's what I think Eddie Howe has to do. Keep playing Osula off the wide areas because it's going to help him develop into a really, really good player who you can move into centre forward because he has all the instincts to do so. I think Voltemade looked really good off the bench. I've seen Newcastle United fans say they're worried about Elanga. I think he looked pretty sharp. Same with Gordon. I know he was substituted as well. But in terms of a match, before you play Arsenal, that's how you want to respond in terms of an attacking sense. 4 goals, looking pretty solid at the back. I even forgot to mention, I think Malik Thiaw and Sven Botman look really, really good. Like, I don't know about you guys, but you feel the upgrade to Bernard Shaw. And I know it's really harsh to say. I'm not saying it's a massive upgrade, but in terms of technical security, willingness to play the ball between the lines, you can feel it with those two back there that Newcastle United feel secure. But look, I've said it many times before. I made a video a couple of days ago. The ability to be able to switch out a Burn and a Shah for a Thiaw and a Botman just goes to show how good Newcastle United are. Even bringing on a Livramento for a Hall, willing to rotate Emil Kraft into the lineup. Newcastle United are building a squad that you can genuinely do really, really good things in terms of rotation. But anyway, that's it for now. Hope you have enjoyed, and on to next time. Peace.